Lacuna's eyes flared as she glared at the screaming ranger. "Silence, fool! Be honored that the goddess allows you to fight on our behalf in this fashion. And cease your whimpering, lest the goddess throw you at them." Turnip wisely silenced as Lacuna focused down the street. "Why do they keep coming? Why do they fight a goddess so? We do not understand their madness. They should flee so we do not smite them." "It's not madness, goddess. It's hate," I shouted as my pitbuck told me that all the systems were active and aborted the restart. "They hate so much that they're willing to die if that means they can kill ponies they loathe." Right now, I wanted to shoot something myself, as the system tools told me that the Matrix was active. Was I doing something wrong? "Fools!" she boomed. "Flee before our might! Run! Fight us no longer!" She glared swiftly from one stalk, as they still kept coming on. "Stop making us kill you!" Error, error, error. I wanted to scream. Then something came flying out of the smoke and haze. It bounced twice, but it was much too small to be a grenade. It was just a little hoop of metal. A silver ring with a spark battery wired to the middle. "Goddess, get out of here!" I shouted up at her, but the goddess clearly didn't see or realize. All I knew was that the ring increased enervation, and enervation was bad for alicorns. Who'd thrown it? Had they known? Or was it just some desperate gambit? The battery flashed, and suddenly the ring began to glow a balefire green. I had a sensation like being caught up in the cistern. The screaming was building up and growing, and I felt it tearing at me. The goddess had a much worse reaction. The shield distorted wildly and shredded apart. Lacuna struggled to keep herself and turn up in the air. The alicorn screamed as white tatters and motes began to draw out of her eyes and mouth. Wisps were being pulled down through the ring, like the dancing firefly motes in the ruins deep beneath the earth. Now the goddess was being reminded why her children stayed out of the hoof. I left fruit salad as I felt my insides spasm terribly, aimed my shotgun down to the flickering spark battery and fired. I got hit with a burst of radiation, but the green glow disappeared and the wisps stopped being pulled away. Still, it was too late for the alicorn. Lacuna collapsed beyond our cover, next to the ring, and Turnip wailed as he smashed down to the wagon, and thankfully bounced inside. And the fillies were moving in for the kill. I clattered over the wagon as scarlet beams tore into my barding, making my eye tear as I fired wildly, not even bothering to aim, but simply trying to pour on as much fire as I could. I bit down on Lacuna's mane and started to pull, but as fast as my fire was, I couldn't suppress the advancing mares. But Glory could. And on the fire station's roof, she stood in full view and poured down a stream of red bursts that swept back and forth over the fillies. They might not have been able to ignore an individual shotgun slug, but not that stream of glowing death. The fillies balked for a few critical seconds. I grabbed Lacuna's mane and started to pull, firing at any red I could. But even with Glory's suppressive fire, the fillies were spreading out and moving closer. And damn it, why did alicorns have to be so damn big and heavy? 2 crimson bolts slammed in my chest, and my heart stopped as I fell back beside the fallen alicorn. I lost my focus. The riot gun clattered down beside me as 3 fillies who'd been creeping along the sidewalk next to the blasted storefronts popped out. I saw one's lips moving. I think that she was yelling something about Diamond. Maybe some word of revenge or something. It didn't matter, though. I tried to fumble for the healing potion, for something. Glory was firing so long and fast, I thought I saw smoke rise from her weapon. I wondered how much ammo she had left. Couldn't be much. The 3 fillies pointed their weapons at me. Game over. Then they exploded, and my eye slowly followed the stream of smoke up to Fruit Salad standing atop the wreck, missile after missile streaking down the street, forcing the fillies back into cover. A few moments later, Turnip pulled herself up as well, and joined her in driving the fillies back. "How?" I murmured weakly, and then Scotch Tape was there, lifting a healing potion to my lips. She was shaking so badly that she nearly dropped it, and from the smell she was going to have to wash her barding later. The purple fluid was a bit watery, and not too pleasant tasting, but it restored me enough to drag Lacuna the rest of the way around the cover of the wagon. "How?" I coughed. aching as I looked at the young olive mare. It kept telling me it was busted. Wrong matrix, Blackjack. I think you were trying to reboot your own, Pip-Buck, she said, with a nervous smile. She then frowned and lifted the key. And you dropped this? Don't you know how pissed rivets would be? Hey, I'm security, okay? I handle shooting things and enforcing the rules. Maintenance actually has to do the stuff that matters, I said with a nervous smile. But I was done for the moment. Those 2 shots had nearly taken me out. Lacuna was still unconscious, and who knew when or if she would recover. Gloria disappeared from the rooftop. Radishes and Stronghoof were withdrawing as well. Their armor was smoking, and Brown Betty had taken quite a beating. The Burner boys pushed in from the south, the Phillies from the east. If the Rangers carried Lacuna and me, perhaps we could run for it. Maybe. Right now, we could get only as far as the firehouse. A pity. It seems we won't have an opportunity for a true rematch, Paladin Stronghoof said as we fell back inside. Glory was in the corner, working furiously to convert her gem cartridges into drums for her beam Gatling gun. She saw me, and I gave a wan smile and a wave to put her at ease. She nodded. P-21 joined us, a particularly ominous-looking bomb sitting on his back. He turned the 2 collars and the explosives into one large, formidable, duct-taped wad of boom. Where are they all coming from? I asked as I saw a wall of red advancing. I knew there were some big gangs in the Hoof, but this was ridiculous. The huge paladin answered us. Big Daddy's liberated every slave west of the river, gave them a gun, and sent them to fight. The Highlanders are getting involved as well, and the Half-Hearts are competing with every other gang for the most Rangers killed. I understand that they've got fighters from as far south as Flank brought up here, and there's talk of Griffin mercenaries to the west. I suppose we should be grateful that those damned Zodiacs haven't gotten involved. Paladin Bomb said darkly as he had his armor repair itself around him. Scotch had her eyes closed and seemed to be focusing on trying to help Lacuna by rubbing her shoulder and muttering that it will be okay. It seems that our order has done little to earn love and admiration of the rest of the city, and that most will quite welcome our destruction. Oopsie, I muttered as I rose to my hooves. Lacuna's eye was open, and she looked up at me with an expression of profound suffering. Having a goddess stuffed inside of you and then ripped out couldn't be fun. So, what's the plan? I will go forth and engage their forces with my own. While they are distracted with me, your friends will be able to escape. Use the bomb to cover your withdrawal when I fall, he said rather matter-of-factly. It has been an honor, security. For the record, I feel you would have made an astounding Steel Ranger. The Phillies and Burners outside were grouping up for a big push. That won't be necessary. A buck's voice boomed from the outside, fit to make my teeth rattle. A half-dozen explosions tore into the gangers, making them scatter for cover. A section of wall was blown in, showering us with rubble, and in walked a buck who could have been Deus's power-armored twin. He wore 2 massive artillery guns just like the former Reaper had. Paladin Stronghoof, your reinforcements have arrived. There had to have been at least a dozen Rangers arriving from the north. Star Paladin, Steel Rain! Paladin Stronghoof said as he rose to his feet. The Star Paladin's armor was even more fancily decorated than his own, but with silver scrollwork. I wondered if this was a norm for Steel Rangers or just for their leaders. It seemed like a good way to know who to shoot, but then when he had guns like that, I supposed few ponies dared to take shots in the first place, or lived long to take a second. You have fought admirably, Paladin Stronghoof. You have my thanks for drawing our enemy together so that we may finally end this war once and for all. He gestured to the door. Take your soldiers and lead the counterattack. Leave not a single one of our enemies alive. Sir, the oath dictates, the white pony said before his superior interrupted him, that you execute the orders of your superiors quickly and without question. You have your orders, Paladin. Now return to the fight. He finished in a tone that suggested very ugly consequences if Stronghoof argued. Very well, Star Paladin, Stronghoof said with a salute, but he was looking at me when he said it. Those glowing blue eye panels seemed to suggest caution to me. He and most of the other rangers left, and my mane went right on high to, "Oh, this isn't good" status as I was approached by Steel Rain and a trio of rangers he'd brought in with him. This was my chance. Star Paladin Steel Rain, I'm security. My friends and I have come here to tell you that this war is completely unnecessary. I looked behind me at Glory and then back at the massively armored ranger. My friends and I were passing by Zenith Bridge. We used a bomb to distract you so that we could slip past. This war wasn't the ranger's fault. There was no answer at first. Then I became aware of a deep rhythmic noise inside of his armor. I scowled up at him as it built and grew louder. He was laughing. "I should thank you, then," he chortled with glee. "Do you have any idea how many years I've tried to provoke those idiots across the river to attack us? How many times the Elder has refused to allow me to wipe out the vermin?" Oh no. You wanted this war? Your own soldiers are dying and you're happy about it? I shouted at him as I stood, making damn sure I was between him and my friends. "Of course not," he replied with that amused tone. "But I won't deny that, when I heard about the fighting, I felt as though Hearth-Warming Day had come and I'd been a very good buck. Finally, the Hoofington chapter has the opportunity to show the Wasteland just what the Rangers should be about." I glanced in the direction of Paladin Stronghoof had gone before looking back at him. "Why do I have the feeling that you don't think it's about protecting ponies?" Paladin Stronghoof's naive and adolescent fantasies of honor and protection hardly interest me. He inspires fools to waste our technology for the shallow and worthless admiration of others. Really, what do I care if some useless primitives live or die? P-21 slowly approached him. "You think that technology should be hoarded, then? Stronghoof told us that your elders believe that." There was a frustrated growl from the armor. "Yes, they do. They would have us hoard weapons and technology like dragons, clutching our findings with paranoid hooves while we cower in bunkers and bases." He turned to the side and gestured at the gun with a forehoof. "This is a 120mm anti-dragon cannon, built to fire custom-engineered concussion, armor penetration, and chemical rounds. It has 172 perfect engineered parts, all manufactured of high-strength alloy steel, infused with a magical repair mechanism to maintain perfect operation at all times. It has a precise range of over 2 miles, at which shells will still impact with a force of 5 kilomax." He looked right at me. "Do you really think that a gun like this should be left in a weapons locker to collect dust?" Honestly, no, I didn't. But I'd be damned if I admitted that to this bastard. "The Elder believes that the Reapers started this war, and so it must be fought, and I will do everything I can to expand it as long and as far as possible. We will destroy the Reapers, subjugate the Collegiate, drive off the Enclave, and conquer the Society," he proclaimed grandly, standing and spreading his legs wide as if to give me a hug. "And you started it all. Thank you." "And now I'm going to stop it however I can," I replied sharply. If Elder Crunchy Carrots really didn't want this war fought, then perhaps she could end it?